people, the road to WWE Summerslam is finally here. Yeah. Okay, that might have been a little too much. But SummerSlam is coming up. It's next door, beside you, your shadow, round the corner, 15 minutes away, all them type of things. And got a pretty stacked card. Got a good mix of predictable and some might be spontaneous type of thing. Because I feel like we sort of have an idea how it should go, but there's so many of these matches that can be messed with, can be have an alternate ending based on some things or whatever like that. There's not really any of these that are straight to the point. We know who's winning, and I think that's a good thing. Even if you feel that it's something else might be predictable, I still think all these have something to blur the lines, I guess we used to say. Anyway, let's go ahead and go with some of the rundown of some of the matches. Now, I was like, let's go ahead and go with Bayley and Nia Jax. Now, I think Bayley is going to get the win. I think that probably I will prefer Nia getting the win. Just because like they haven't done nothing really with Bayley. I was like, and also I do think there needs to be some type of payoff. And you're gonna hear me say that a lot with a lot of these. With Nia Jax and her run since she sort of came back. She's been a dominant heel ever since she came back, where it was destroying the women on Raw, going toe-to-toe a lot of time with either Becky or Rhea. And then, of course, her winning Queen of the Ring, that I'm like, I know that's like what she'll be stuck as, or whatever. That's her thing, is basically being a monster heel for the women's division. But at some point, you sort of got to give her, to me, the run, because that way you can at least do a reign of dominance, and then whoever beats her gets that rub that way. Bayley hasn't really been doing anything in a way since her WrestleMania win that I think gives a rub necessarily to anybody. I was like, it's not even like the veteran type of rub of, I beat one of the 4 horsewomen kind of thing. So I was like, I think that, but I think with Nia and Bayley, there's enough there, because they've been in the company for a long time together, that this match will be, I was like, it'll be a good match, but it'll work its way out to where it's like, cool, go ahead and give Nia, she beat somebody of substance for her. I don't like, and then we also got the X Factor of Tiffany. I don't think she's going to cash in, but I think even from that perspective, I think it's better for Nia to win, since her and Tiffany been buddy here, because to me that's a storyline that could play out. Yes, it'd be similar almost to Damien and Finn last year in a sense, but I was like, I would hope that they will sort of have a little bit of nuance here with this as well, where it just kind of just like, because the thing is, she can cash it in on any show technically, even though they always like to keep it to one show. I was like, but to me, I was like, Tiffany and Bayley, while they sort of had a little bit, but not really. I was like, to me, I think it'd be more interesting with Nia having the championship, Tiffany having the thing, and we all know, like, oh, this is going to be the time, but you could play in that Tiffany doesn't do it, that Tiffany doesn't, actually, will she, won't she, will she, won't she, like, she actually is a genuine friend to Nia, shocker, as heels. Whereas with Bayley, you're just going to keep getting that every now and then of just like teasing the whole thing. And I was like, at least go to a different route than the constant tease. Because then that also plays into almost like Damien last year, where it's like the constant tease of things without. I was like, at least here, I was like, with her and Nia, if you make it actually like they really are friends, then you don't have to. I was like, first of all, you don't have to actually have the heel turn on the heel type of thing like down the road. You can actually just give Nia Jax a dominant run, say Tiffany helps her out, and you're just kind of confused, like, oh man, is she ever going to cash in on Nia? And she doesn't. And then somebody who beats Nia, maybe like a super babyface, Tiffany cashes in and wins automatically or something like that. I'm just saying, just spitballing here. I think that would be the better long-term view of it all. All right, so next one is Sami Zayn, Bron Breakker. And once again, I was like, I think you got to pay, like how I was saying with Nia, you got to pay this off. You got to give Bron the match here against Sami. I was like, I didn't mind him losing to Sami the first time. I didn't like how he lost, where it was just like one haluva kick after basically Bron just destroys his ass all the time or spears his ass all the time. And to me, I was like, you got to give him something with this, because I was like, after this, what does Bron really do? Like, I think it'd be different if Bron was literally destroying other people as well, other than Sami and Ilya. Like, if he was just going on a rampage destroying all people, I'd be like, okay, cool, that's sort of his character, where he might not need the Intercontinental Championship. But since he's only been doing this with Sami, I'm like, that's pretty much his story. And then after that, he just goes on a dominant reign as well, and I was like, then you could sort of mirror the image almost of like him to Gunther, where it's like he just becomes the dominant Intercontinental Champion. And you can sort of I was like, I would rather you teach the story, like the story I guess they were trying to say, like, oh, Bron doesn't learn, that's why he lost against Sami in a way. But I was like, you could do that and then like have him go on like a winning streak, have him face like certain people, whatever like that, until he gets against a savvy veteran. Who that savvy veteran might necessarily be, I don't necessarily would know, at least on this point of the roster. Like Sheamus, I was like, look, Sheamus, Kaiser, and Bron were in a little three-way type of thing like beforehand. That was supposed to be the qualifier match for Money in the Bank as well. You can easily, I know Sheamus is doing a thing with Pete Dunne. I know it's Pete Dunne, but to me, that would be the savvy veteran, where like he hadn't had the Intercontinental Championship shot. They never really finished their thing. Ludwig kind of gonna come back, and he sort of already said it was Sheamus, even though I feel like it was Bron that hurt him. But besides the point, I'm just saying that Kaiser was also in that middling ground of Intercontinental Championship. So that's, to me, would be something like that, where like Bron here goes on a run, beating some pretty good, credible people. Then he runs up against the veteran, and you sort of do the story a little bit again in that way. I just think that Sami, I think he done had a good time. He held on to the belt. I was like, he'd been put on good matches. But go ahead, take it off of him. He doesn't need it. Bron needs it, because after this, where would he go? He needs to win. All right. Now, with that being said, for the next match, all right, I'm trying to think. I was like, which one got the most taste to it, or whatever like that. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do Liv versus Rhea. Now, this one, I was like, this one and the next couple, I think could be the ones that I was like, where it's like something is going, like, can happen, and therefore that's why it's gonna make some of this thing tricky, because I was like, you can't have all the next four sort of have like, like this one, the Steph one, Gunther, and so you can't have all of them have some wonky type of finish, but I guess you also can. This one, I think Liv's gonna get it. All right, so we know that Liv should beat Rhea. How is it gonna play out? Well, we sort of figured that, hey, for the longest time, Dom's gonna get involved, and especially how he sort of done with the other Liv matches, that basically he's gonna get involved in a way that he tries to help Rhea, but Liv's getting the win. Now, I was like, I still think that that's a possibility, but I feel like more so now that I could see Judgment Day maybe trying to get in, maybe because they're trying to get back on the good graces of Rhea, because they've been trying to, where it's like the whole Jay and Sami thing and stuff like that. That maybe inadvertently, either way, I think inadvertently, them either by collective, Carlito, whatever, is going to get involved in a way that has Leah win when they're trying to help Rhea. That way, I was like, I don't think the break is here. I don't think it's going to be like some all like, oh my God, Finn's been with Liv this whole time, or like, oh my God, I don't think Dom is going to actually swear. I think if anything, I was like, it led me more to maybe being Finn. I know we've sort of had the seed being planted a long time about, even though that Dom has been the main one, Finn has sort of been behind the scenes and stuff. But I really think that Dom isn't right now. I think it's still a little bit too soon with Rhea. That I think it's going to happen a little bit later in some aspect. Makes it a little bit more clear maybe that now that she's back, I know she licked him on the face and stuff like that. That was like the first signs of thing. But I think now I was like, but I think it's gonna be a little bit more to make it in his head that's like, oh, Liv actually been treating me right. He's gonna switch on Rhea, only to find out that Finn's been out there too. But I think Liv gets this match. Okay, so next one, we're gonna go right into the Priest Gunther. I don't think any shenanigans are really gonna happen here. I was like, granted, I was like maybe, but I just think that it's sort of been clear that Priest won't do it by himself, and I was like, I don't see any real way that they would maybe do something here. But at the same time, hey, I'm going with Priest. I was like, I think that Gunther, the little edge, a little cockiness, that kind of thing, is going to play into him losing, because that's sort of the same way he lost before in the past. I think that Priest is having a really good title reign, and I think that some things of like the way that Gunther talked about him being like street trash and stuff like that, and like doing some real things and doing some real talking points in a way that's kind of like, oh, that sort of hits home for a lot of people, or especially like, even though maybe I was like the bottom population has gotten up, but also the amount of people that's over here like can't get a place and stuff like that. That I was like, and a lot of people feel like, oh, it only takes like one thing to be on the street. That is like, it's not just a decision that you just make all the time. So I think that resonates well with other people. You started seeing Priest start being more babyface as well over the weeks, especially with this. He's trying to do some honorable type stuff. And also, I do think that the self-promise of that match, I think that is there for a reason, that basically he get his match. I also think with the other stuff that's going on with Drew, Seth, and CM Punk, that while it doesn't need the title, at least at the early on, I think it's going to be involved. And why would you put Gunther in the reign that they're going to probably do? Because they're going to do a reign for him just like he did with the Intercontinental Championship. Why would you give him the title when that's already going to be muddied up? I was like, Gunther had beaten Drew. I was like, he had to really face Seth, and CM Punk, we haven't got to that. That I was like, I just don't think that you will meddle with that necessarily. To be honest, I could see something like Gunther wins the Royal Rumble, something like, or I can see him winning it like that, than him necessarily winning it right now. And also, do you want to have both your king and queen in the ring lose? I guess that's also a thing, because I was like, I gave it to Bayley earlier, so I was like, and that's why I was like, I don't know. But I don't know here either, because I've been feeling Priest has been a long time too as well, because I was like, you can't have both of them lose. Now I was like, now I'm thinking about it, I might go with Nia now. Oh wait, I know. Wait. I was like, I said Nia would be the better pick, even though I picked Bayley. So I'm gonna go with Nia for that earlier. Here I'll go with Priest. I think the Judgment Day still got too much stuff. I think you can still do Priest as champ. Rhea didn't win her match, so therefore you still got that sort of dynamic. I was like, I do get it that you want to have both of them lose. Like, if they both lose, and now nobody has gold except for Finn and JD at this time. But I think, and now I think Priest might lose it later on. I was like, I could see him losing it to Seth, being like the ultimate, you just ain't here for the big league kind of thing or whatever. But right now, I just got Priest. Which brings to the CM Punk Drew McIntyre match. I think you got to give it to CM Punk. I was like, and the reason I say that is, one, I was like, look, it's a couple times he's been injured. We could say it by a fluke or by him being injury prone, whatever. But at the same time, hey, he's been injured. With that being said, I also think he hasn't had a match outside of Royal Rumble, not counting those house shows, yet. So therefore, he needs a win to me. I was like, don't get me wrong. I think also with the story, I was like, I think the story could be built better of him winning and him still being like, I'm just better than you, Drew. Even coming off an injury, I'm just better than you, and Drew not handle it. Now on the hand that I was like of Drew being screwed over countless times by CM Punk, that I can see this probably building to his reign. He still got the bracelet. He over here just standing over CM Punk like you know. Now that I say that, I was like, see, now I'm going back and forth. See, that's why I was saying a lot of these matches, like, to be honest, I don't think Seth is going to mess up in this match favorable to either side. I think that, yes, there will be stuff where it's like Drew confronts him, CM Punk confronts him, because they all just going to think that, hey, you're doing this against me. But I don't think there's nothing actually that Seth is going to do. Like, I don't think he's going to give a curb stomp to one of them. I don't think he's going to do anything like that. After the match is different, because I can see that. I can see him doing the whole Stone Cold thing with Goldberg and Brock Lesnar thing where they both just get, it's like, whatever, the match happened, y'all get stunned. I was like, stunners. I was like, I can see that where, like, maybe something happened where a curb stomp is after this, but I don't see anything deliberately done. Now, not to say that's something during the match where, say one of them has a chair and he's like, no, you can't use the chair, but something else happened that Seth didn't catch or something. I don't know. But, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna change it, and I'm gonna get. I was like, because I think CM Punk's. They're gonna at least do like 3 matches to me, or they're at least gonna do it. This ain't gonna be done. And I was like, I imagine there be one here, and if CM Punk holds up, I imagine there be one at Bad Blood. I could totally see the fact that it's like Drew could just keep on. Drew's gonna win. Never mind. Cause Drew, from the trolling that he does online, Drew from him winning and CM Punk still wanting that bit of flesh. I was like, all those are storylines that could still be changed. Where if CM Punk just beats Drew, then his point is done. And what if Drew really got to be mad? I was like, now at that point, it's like, Drew, you lost to the better guy kind of thing. Yes, you can still be mad, but you've been being mad this whole time. Whereas, like, I think Drew gets the first one where he needs to basically be the one that's like, oh, I told you all along. I don't know what that accent was. I'm going to stop it. But, yeah, I think I was like, never mind. Total flip. Hey, this is what the talking out portion is about to be. I was like, I don't write down this stuff down and get it all processed. I was like, I'll talk it out. I'm like, oh, that's how my pick is going to be. It's going to be Drew. And I was like, better storyline. Last but not least, Cody and Solo Sikoa. This one is going to be, I think it's going to be Cody. Because you can't, I was like, the thing is I think that Solo, win or lose, can make a good storyline of it. If he wins, of course, a lot of people might be mad because it's like how they feel about Solo and stuff like that. But if he, and especially he already gets a championship this early on, I can see how people would. And that's why I don't think I was like, you could build a storyline out from it, but I just don't think that people would just want it. Whereas if he loses, then on top of that, it's like, oh, you couldn't bring it home, but you talking all this stuff about Roman, but you couldn't even win. And especially if they help out, then it's like you couldn't win. So I could see that totally being the storyline, maybe some more, maybe like dissension even amongst the Bad Bloodline, even though nothing's going to happen this early, but just over here, just playing a couple seeds here. To be honest, I don't think anybody's really going to show up. I was like, I know everybody's saying Roman, and I just sort of want to temper them expectations. Because I was like, oh, this is the first time he showed up 4 years ago when he first started all this. Solo been talking all this junk, and I was like, it's like predictable, but it's like in a way where it's like, I know they sort of like, we're at this point now where we could start seeing what's next. But at the same time, I'm like, that is so on the nose. And I was like, Roman doesn't need to show up at SummerSlam to have the same gravitas that he would if he showed up on SmackDown, if he showed up at Bad Blood, if he showed up anywhere else at any other time. So I was like, I don't think it needs to be here. Cody, while on one hand, I was like, his title reign had been like, meh, that I could say that him losing to Solo would be good from his character arc of being like, I gotta fight back and stuff like that. It's just the problem, I guess, of who. Also, you got the Randy thing maybe down the line that you still want to do. I was like, if Solo won and it was like due to The Rock, that would be totally different. So to me, that's the kind of heat that would be needed in order to do this type of thing. But I think Cody retains. I was like, and I think it would be better if he retains and Rock shows up than it is if nothing happened and Cody just wins. Cause then I was like, then what are we doing here? Cause they need something to put some juice into this, whether that's Roman, The Rock. I was like, I said somebody like Jimmy would show up, but guess what? That's not going to be to the fanfare that everybody would want. But at the same time, that's because expectations are way too high. Like doing that Marvel stuff where you over here be like, oh, I need all this in here, and then when you don't, you're dissatisfied. I was like, to me, I think Jimmy would be a perfect person to show up, to be honest, because I think it makes storyline reasoning more so than just crowd excitement. I was like, they beat his ass not too long ago. I don't know how long he's like actually injured for, so I don't even know how possible that will be. But I'm just saying, I'm like, Randy, KO, not here. He got beef with the actual thing. Whereas like Roman, him coming back, I was like, he could do that at any time, and it'd be like, oh my god. And to be honest, the way SmackDown has sort of been the last couple of weeks, I wouldn't doubt that they would save that for a SmackDown to be like, look, our SmackDown hit this many views and whatnot. I wouldn't be surprised if that would be the case. The Rock, I was like, I know he got a bunch of movies and stuff to where I was like, I don't think he would show up. But he would be the one I think that would show up actually on a pay-per-view type of thing. PLE, whatever you want to call it. So, I was like, I just hope they did something that be done that doesn't just seem like Cody defeated the Oz or the Bloodline, something like that. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Because I'm like, because you got to have something for the Bloodline to pop and make them be serious. Because like, they lose. I'm like, while I think it's a good storyline, you got to give them something. You got to give it something, a little bit of juice of making it reasoning, because all they've been doing is just sort of just been crashing people out. And I'm like, yeah, but you can't do that again or whatever. So that's why I understand people saying somebody got to show up. But I think it's Jimmy. I think it makes storyline purposes. You had a whole... Cody gave Jay a whole new life. He basically forgave him and was like, I'm here. Jimmy, he could do the same thing. KO gonna look at him sideways, just like how he did Jay all that time. Randy in the same vein, but not as much, because he pretty much accepted Jay. That's like, hey, if you're not in my way, we good. KO, no. So that's why I think also in that case it would work at another storyline, because now Jimmy got to redeem himself amongst these people as well. That's why I said, I was like, the Roman thing, I just don't see it right now. I can see it Bad Blood. I can see it Bash Berlin. And we'll see where it goes at that point. But anyway, those are my picks. I was like, the final picks, I was like, Nia, Liv, Bron, Priest, Drew, and Cody. That's one. Finito. Whatever you heard before, just ignore it. But anyway, those are my picks. How you think SummerSlam going to roll out? Let me know. Do you think there's going to be a big reveal, big showing? Anyway, until then, we will see how this all goes. So, peace. I'm out.